Please.
Two heavyweights on the programme sorting out their differences in just a moment or two. There they are. We'll chat to them in a sec. But first, let's talk more about the phone hacking row. The MP who triggered off today's debate, Chris Bryant, joins us now. Mr. Bryant, thank you so much for joining us here on Afternoon Live. Why did you want the debate?
Because I believe that there should be a full investigation of what actually went on so that we know the full extent of the hacking. In particular, there are many people, ordinary people, who were subjects of the investigation by Glenn Mulcair, who's the private investigator who went to prison for his phone hacking, who have absolutely no idea that they were involved in this. And I believe that the police should make sure that all those people know, including MPs. I also happen to think that it's a gross abuse of Parliament to hack into elected members' phones, and so there's going to be a specific inquiry now led by the most senior committee in the House, supported by all political parties in this afternoon's debate, and that committee has far more powers than any other committee. It's able to summon people, it's able to arrest people. In certain circumstances in the past, it has, in fact, imprisoned people.
What do you hope to achieve?
I want to make sure that we change the culture of journalism in Britain so that what seems to have been endemic, not just in the News of the World, but maybe in other newspapers as well in the past, and may still be endemic today in terms of using illegal techniques to get hold of personal information, confidential information.
No. I'm going to have to interrupt you, sir. Do you have evidence for that?
Sorry, for what?
Do you have evidence that it's endemic, not only at the News of the World, but other newspapers? Pretty strong claim if you don't.
Well, the Information Commissioner produced a report which, if you'd listened to the debate earlier yourself, then you would know, or if you'd read that report, you'd see that he referred to more than 1,000 cases in various different newspapers. I think it was something like 800, I've not got the figures with me now, but something like 800 instances in the Mail alone.
So you are in a position to have listened to the debate and to have read the report. As a result, you are content to say that on telly?
I have just said it. You seem to be a bit dim, if you don't mind me saying so. The Information Commissioner produced this report several years ago, in 2006, December 2006. The Culture, Media and Sport did an investigation into the question of whether there was, into the specifics of the News of the World case, and they believed that it was far more prevalent than just one bad apple. And I'd simply point to the fact that the police have said already that there were 91 people whose PIN numbers were obtained by Mr Mulcair, and some 2,900 other people who were targets of Mr Mulcair. Now, I would say that that is pretty endemic.
Given the massive abuse, then, that you feel is in the British media, what would you like to see happen?
Well, I want to see that abuse stopped, and in particular, I want to... I believe passionately in the freedom of the press and in investigative journalism, but I think it should be done on the basis of legal activities, not on the basis of illegal activities. I also happen to think that in relation to Parliament in specific, some people like yourself might just want to dismiss this and say, oh well, what's the point about a few phone messages? But if you think about the last phone message that was on your answer phone, it might have been some soppy message from someone you love. It might have been, I'm going to see you in 10 minutes' time. But it might, if you're an MP, have been a message from the Home Secretary relating to a specific sensitive case, or for that matter, it might have been from a constituent, like my last phone message was last night, recounting a pretty horrific incident that they certainly wouldn't want to be in the public domain or read over by some random journalist breaking the law.
Presumably you changed your PIN, so that wouldn't have happened.
No, that's not true. You see, no, look, listen, that is simply untrue. It was nothing to do with PIN numbers in my case.
That was the impression that we got from
Well,
Yates
don't
of
lie
BR.
then, don't lie. Don't say what you don't know, madam.
If Andy Coulson is guilty of phone tapping, and it seems that will eventually, may or may not become the case, what should happen to him?
To be honest, I think Andy Coulson is a sideshow in all of this. That's not my interest. I didn't refer to Andy Coulson in the debate at all.
But I am now.
Well, you've obviously got a view, so tell the nation what you think your view is.
I'm here to play devil's advocate, so you may know how these sort of programmes work. I just wondered what you thought. Nobody cares what I think. We care what you think, because you wanted the debate.
Well, I wanted the debate not to talk about Andy Coulson, as I've already explained. I personally think that it's bizarre that somebody who sat in the Culture, Media and Sport Select Committee in 2003, along with Rebecca Wade, now Rebecca Brooks, who was then editor of the Sun, and when I asked him, have you ever paid police officers for information, which I believe to be a criminal offence because it's suborning a police officer, effectively it's bribery, he said yes, or she said yes, and he agreed that they had. I think it's odd that any leader of a political party would want to employ such a person, but that's a matter for David Cameron and David Cameron's judgment.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. More fireworks.